Can you hear me? I don't hear myself very well, but maybe that's good. It's good to see some new faces and some familiar faces. We're starting at, what is it, 10 minutes late? That's good, that's good. Yeah, like that? All right. I will do a very quick intro on PugliaTechs because obviously we're here for our great speakers, not for PugliaTechs community. Thank you, Sidea Group, for hosting us again. Why is PugliaTechs? Why was it born? Because unfortunately still too many talents go away from this beautiful region. So we already made the headlines last year and said, una Silicon Valley può nascere ancora anche qua. Well, we also say Silicon Valley is basically a mindset, not so much a location. So let's apply those best practices to this beautiful region. Until now, the people who we are interested in and that are people that share our mindset are obviously passionate tech enthusiasts, entrepreneurs and corporates both, and of course startup founders. What we try to create is an ecosystem where we can share knowledge, skills, money, experience, everything. From Puglia, obviously, but also beyond, because we have a global ambition. Does he want to enter? We don't know. What we do is, or what our mission is, to foster growth through knowledge sharing and networking, hands-on events like this. We have more planned for the year, like a hackathon, but we obviously also try to involve people online. And our vision is, hello, welcome, thank you for coming. Our vision is a tech renaissance for Puglia to drive regular innovation. As many places in Europe are working on this, so are we. We want to say we are a grassroots community, a non-profit community, and we're just basically trying to boost this innovative mindset. We've been active for about 12 months. Thanks to our location sponsors, we were able to organize an event like this every month, and we are growing in followers, about 1,600 on LinkedIn now, and we just hit the 300 number on Telegram. So we're growing, but of course, what we like most is these live events where we meet people with different interests, different needs, different experience to like meet in the piazza and make it happen. We are here to help the people from the region and the people that come to the events. If you have not registered yet, if you could please scan this barcode, it will bring you to a form on our website, because the better we know we have in our audience, the better it is, the easier it is for us to adapt the events, create the right content, bring the right people together. We will not sell your data, obviously. It will all be very only for our use. So that is basically the introduction of who we are and why we are doing this. Most important always is getting the speakers. We're excited to have 3 again tonight. We have Mike Rubini, founder and CEO of Flat9. We have Alessandro Capriati, Antibot engineer and reverse engineer. I'm very curious to hear what that actually is. And Ricardo Tornese, CEO and founder at Tactile Robots SRL. Guys, you speakers, you all have about 15 minutes. We will give you a sign 2 minutes before the end, because we really want to try to stay in the time that is planned. So thank you all for coming. Thank you for our speakers. Marco, I look at you. Who's first? Mike? Mike, the stage is yours.
Thank you.
I will get your presentation.
Thank you.
This is for you.
Hello, everybody. It's very hot here. I think I'll lose my jacket at some point. I might. No, it's not. Yes, here we go. Yeah. All right. All right. Thank you for having me. I'm Mike. I come from the future, but before that, I come from Sovereto, a little hamlet 30 kilometers away from here. It's like 60 families. And I make profitable SaaS products. I, in fact, built dozens of them in the last decade. I did this with lots of free time. In fact, I'm big on paddle. I play around 200 matches per year. In the last 24 hours, I played 3 matches. And I also play jazz at night, because I'm a professional jazz musician. I don't know what professional is, but you know, I'm professional. And I did this without a team, because I create my products alone. In fact, this is my team, but they are all AIs. And I did this without a computer science degree, for all that matters. This year, I actually enrolled in not one, not two, but 3 universities, including the University of Bari, where I'm attending the decision science course, a new course. And my products have been used by Fortune 500 all the way to government. And yeah, I had to put some mini screenshot. This is just one SaaS that's making me an average of $80,000 per year. And if you think, welcome. If you think about the average developers, by the way, how many developers do we have in the audience here by raising hands? Okay, all of them mostly. You typically have 2 routes: employment, so you will go work for the man, or you go work for yourself, or at least you think you do. You go the consulting route. But there is this 3rd way, which is indie hacking, that nobody talks about, and this is what I do. The typical developer, basically what he does, he or she works on something cool, because obviously you are a developer, you're working on new technologies all the time. Then proceeds to tell his friends, tell our friends, do no marketing at all, just pray. And then of course, no money comes in, and it just puts the project as public on GitHub, but it rests there for the rest of the life. And nowadays, there is lots of developers, because even non-technical people are becoming developers, with the help of Cold Code, Codex, and whatnot. And I think, coding is definitely not that, but the barrier to entry is very low right now, and you have lots of crappy products that maybe are crappy, but still hold a position into the market. So the bottleneck is not coding right now. It's not the product, but it's distribution. And what if there was a way for you, for developers, to do no marketing at all, but be successful? And this is one way, is integration marketing, which for me I describe as creating a win-win situation with people. Make them an offer they can refuse. No, I'm joking. But historically, you would do this with marketplaces. So let's say you had an e-commerce app, you would go to Shopify, the Shopify App Store, and list there, because of course Shopify wants to offer more features to their customers, and they want they want to lock in customers into their ecosystems, and you want their customers. So all of your potential customers are there. This is historically what you could do. But I don't like this. This is not my preferred way of doing this, because it's easy to get listed there for everybody, so you end up having lots of competition. And there are unbalanced power dynamics, because obviously the house makes the rules, so it's always on their end. So one way that is better to do this is actually asking yourself, who's influencing my target market? And one way that I prefer to do this, to do integration marketing, is with anyone who has an audience. So podcasters, YouTubers, course creators in general, you name it. Why I like this is because they have hot, already qualified traffic. And the reasoning here is that you unlock MRR, you unlock reoccurring revenue for them. And you do no marketing because, for example, I do this with course creators. They, of course, have students, and they charge a one-time fee, right? I come in, I propose to do a SaaS together, I create the SaaS, and then a percentage of their students will get my SaaS. It's around the double digits, 20, 30% of students, but still no marketing. So it's basically you're creating new money, new revenue for everybody. So it's a win-win situation. And then less, almost zero competition, because you plant a little flag in there. It's unlikely that another person would go there and make the same offer to the same person, right? So it's also balanced power dynamics, because they are dependent on you and you are dependent on them. So it's fair, I would say. If you decide to do this, just go for the B2B route, because B2C, it's harder to do. You need lots of volume and price points need to be lower. So I would advise you to go for B2B always. And also another thing is that you are not paying the abnormous cost of ads. Like if you try running ads in the US, for example, it's crazy right now, the cost. So with this, you don't pay for ads. You don't pay for traffic, because basically, again, the creator is sending you the subscribers to your SaaS. I did this with course creators. This is Emmanuel. He had a course on tax liens. I don't know what those are, but it's basically real estate investing in the US. And he has a book out. And we created Fastlane, which is a SaaS that helps them, research tax liens. Well, I can disclose number on this one, but we did, and it's still making some good money for us. The other question that you can ask yourself, it is, what does my target market use before and after using my product? So potentially, you could integrate with system integrators. For example, this is another one of my SaaS called Re-Referrals. It's for real estate agents in the US market. And we integrate with products that my target market uses after they use my product, which in this case, they are Real Geeks, Brevity, all basically real estate CRMs. And we also integrate with associations and system integrator. For example, I have another product, another SaaS, where we integrate with franchise. We integrate with a company that serves franchise, which in turn means that if they send one to us, they send also all the franchisees, which means you do one sale and you get lots of customers in the door. So if you decide to build and do this route, do it alone, do it, bootstrapping. Also, I didn't mention I don't take any investments. I do it. My products are self-sufficient. They either do money or they die. I delete them. The thing that you need to do is build many of them, because that's the only way that you can basically figure out what's your forte. For me, all my products are around data collection and scraping. For you, it might be something else. But you need to figure out what makes you unique. And also, building many is what every ND hacker that I know, even in the US, they do, because there are so many variables that you need to understand. There's the market, there's the founder fit, right? So the only way is to test. The most famous indie hackers, they build at least 12 products per year. And also, it's a way to go, don't put all your eggs in one basket, right? You diversify as well. So there are other ways that we use to build. You don't need lots of ideas. With one idea, you can create lots of SaaS products. In fact, these are three: subtraction, deduction, induction, if you study philosophy. So for subtraction, basically for developers, they go back to what they know, which is building. So they ended up most likely adding features to a product. So this is the way that it works. You basically take an idea and you add to it, you add branches, leaves, literally branches. Instead, what I do is not addition, but it is subtraction. So I take out features. I take out features that are non-essential to a market, and I put that feature in another market where that feature becomes core. Let me redo this. I take out a feature that is non-essential to that product, and I put it in another market where that feature becomes the core of it. And this is a philosophical concept called rhizome from Félix Guattari and Deleuze, two French philosophers, if you want, dig it up. But this is an example. I had an e-commerce product that did, where the core is tracking Shopify sales. And in this product, I had the ability for users also to track trends. So what I did is I took out the feature of tracking trends, and I made it, a standalone SaaS app that now can serve not only merchants, e-commerce merchants, but also can serve investors, can serve SEO people that want to rank for stuff, for trendy stuff, dropshippers who want to sell cool stuff, trendy stuff, and so on. Deduction is instead when you have a general product and then you basically see patterns of people who are signing up, and then you do basically same tag, you just clone your repo, you put another dress to it, and you sell it to a very specific niche. This is another SaaS of mine called Grouply, where we tracked Facebook groups. What we did basically was seeing that, what I did, sorry, sometimes I speak in the plural, but it's only me. Basically, lots of real estate agents were signing up. I noticed that pattern, and I say, okay, let me create one just for real estate agents. And the pros of doing this is that it's the same tech, so you don't spend time on doing, a new project, but you can charge much higher price because it's, tailored for them. At least they feel that. Other things that are working right now in the era of AI that is very simple to do, it's something called programmatic SEO and free tools building. So literally how it works is you go to SEMrush, Ahrefs, these kind of tools that can analyze keywords for you. You choose, as many as you want that have low competition, or you do your algorithm, you choose your criteria, and then you ask, something like Cloud Code to generate free tools around those keywords. Cloud Code can generate that in 5 minutes, whatever, and then it's free traffic for you basically. If you play the long game, it's not something that you see, from day 2 that you do this. Maybe you see it in 6 months, but you see traffic from this. As well as programmatic SEO, which basically is creating pages that are dynamic, the content is dynamically loaded. So it's generated from the DDB or the content of your SaaS product. These are 2 examples for Fastlane. A free tax lien calculator, and we did pages for Fastlane /FL, Fastlane Florida /Delaware all the counties. So you get tons and tons of pages up. Once you have many products working, it's easier. Marketing becomes easier. So you can do co-registration. You can ask your users if they're interested in any other product of yours. And basically, every product becomes the back end and front end or front end of your offer. Because they could, users could get in, from one SaaS, and they could buy something else from you, or they can get in from a newsletter. Also, subscriptions are not the only model of SaaS, although it's the king model. I would say there is other ways that you can monetize. For example, you can grow a newsletter and monetize with subscription. That's sometimes what I do. You can do performance-based models. There are many models that you can use. Thank you.
Questions, huh? It was perfect, really. Yeah, I think you even had a minute left, so thank you so much, and interesting. All right, then we're off to the next speaker, and I already forgot who that was. Because
what is this? Oh, okay. Yes. Okay. Hello everyone, thank you for coming. Today is a very important day for me because I've planned this for the past 3 years. I just quit my job. So I would like for you to give me a round of applause for this decision. I've been planning this for 3 years to devote myself fully to Apollo, which is my startup. So I'm 24 years old. I finished university 3 years ago, and over the past 5 years, which I've started for the first time Apollo, I have accumulated about 300,000 USD alone, actually with my partner. And this was all of my money that my grandmother 5 years ago gave me for her allowance. Like everything that I've gained over the past few years went into Apollo. So Apollo is an Antibot startup. So what the hell is an Antibot startup? So if you ever seen a CAPTCHA, right? The annoying thing, I'm not a robot, that's what a CAPTCHA is. And Antibot, of course, by definition, they try to stop bots. Bots are automated process that tries to steal your password or try to create deep fakes. You know, everything that is automated, antibots are software that try to stop it. So, as I said, this project started 5 years ago. And in my crazy mind, there was, because in the past, I was a bot developer. In the past, Antibot sucked. I was reversing them in 2 hours. Like, we're talking about high-level antibots such as Cloudflare, Google. They just didn't work. And at the same time, they were making about 100K USD a month just for a single website. And I was like, okay, then to win the game, I'm just going to make the best Antibot to ever exist, and I'm going to dominate the market. So with my partner at the time, we started researching, spending nights and nights into making the best product ever, until about the 1st September 2024, when we finally created the first proof of concept, and we were ready to go to the market. And so we were like, bro, we are about to make it, right? We're gonna become rich. We're gonna get Porsche, right? And then the day after, Apollo was dead. Why? Well, the decision was one of the most important realizations that I ever made, which is, even if your product is the best, it's not gonna win in the market. The market at the time was saturated. And of course, I have like a big ego. Like, I have something in my mind that isn't right, that makes me believe that I can win everything, that my product is the best and that can sell. But the reality is, I would have gone against much bigger players than me. And so I needed to get a new strategy. So my strategy to build a startup, and this is how I have built my product and I'm going to launch next month, is starting from the problem. In this case, the problem were bots. So how I approach building a startup is, okay, you start from the problem, central, and then how it is affecting specific sectors. So in this case, bots were creating deep fake impersonation, were creating, I don't know, tra-la-la, TikTok videos, you know, the memes, or they were stealing credentials, or they were used against airlines. Bots were used everywhere. And then I decided to choose and focus on particular problems. So Apollo was the main product, and it was built over 5 years. What I did is I trust the product, and I divided each features. And then for each features, I applied to a particular problem. So for example, this feature I applied to credential theft, or this other feature I applied to stop impersonification of my grandmother, for example, on the internet, right? And of course, I reached out to people such as, I mean, this one is the CTO of Witsera, which actually replied to me, telling me to fuck off. I don't know why, he didn't like the idea very much, but I started to reach out to people, writing emails, and going on Reddit, for example, to test, and again, test the idea. Until I finally reached the first product, which you're gonna see in a moment, which I call Apollo Control. And I was back on track. So Apollo Control tried to solve a very complex problem at the moment, which is AI, agents, LLMs, whatever, bots, are stealing information from the internet. And they're using them to train their data set, or for example, let's say the example of artists, right? They're just impersonating the artists themselves and recreating images, or publisher in this case, such as newspaper. They are losing revenue from advertisement because people are not clicking on the website anymore. They're just going on ChatGPT and asking, why is Trump attacking Venezuela, right? Nobody's clicking anymore on the newspapers. Or music, right? Where your favorite rapper now is an AI rapper, okay? So what I did is I used one of the Apollo main feature. Apollo is an antibot. And as an antibot, it can protect content. So what I did is, for each of this specific object content, which can be drawing, music, or text, I created this invisible layer. Let's say if you have an HTML page, the content, as AI will see, will be obfuscated or will be encrypted. So an AI won't be able to see anything, but a human will be able to clearly read text. So what this means? It means that an AI now cannot read anything and has to pay to access the content. Also, monitoring where the content goes. So for example, if you're an artist and your content is leaked somewhere else, like you're on Facebook or on Instagram or anything else, you will be able to monitor where that content ends up to. So two key principles, which is monitor and enforce. And this is my main product that I'm going to launch next year. And I truly am... Next month. Next month, sorry. And I am truly convinced, because maybe I'm delusional, but maybe I am right, that it will become very, very successful. So this is my product, and thank you.
So now we have a very short session on the Q&A. So I guess we can stand, or you want to sit? No, let's sit. Because obviously it's a different stage from what Mike was sharing today. Was like, I've done this for a long time. My focus is a very structured way to replicate different business, different verticals, different kind of e-commerce, SaaS, pro-users, SMEs. You have really broad. But in this case, is at the beginning of the journey. A bit younger, I guess, but at the same time, because we've been following Alessandro for a while, we know he's talented, but also it's the moment where the sales will be, I guess, the moment of honesty of what's going to happen to the business. So I have a few questions for you today. So the first one is, when you started, how did you think about your personal finance to plan ahead? You mentioned some dollars in your presentation, but sometimes people miss in few numbers. How do you think about, okay, this is my stack. How should I think about the next 6 to 12 months, really? So for me, I've been living abroad for about 3 years. So it's not a lot of time, but what it made me realize is for tech startup in particular, you have a profit margin. I'm talking about strictly SaaS of 85%, which means the cost that you have to make is basically zero. All you have to care about is how much you're going to spend on your living, right? So for me, I have a magic number, which I have in mind. Maybe it's wrong, but maybe it's... I want to be comfortable to live and to grow my business for 2 years or 3 years without making money. And for me, the magic number to reach is 100K USD. So at the end, yeah, working again. Okay. At the end, I was able to gather about 300K USD. So the way I did it is, unfortunately, the only truth is you have to go abroad. I transferred my residence in Dubai because what I noticed is that I was making in my first job about 130K USD a year. And just staying in Italy,
I was just saving about 20K USD a year, which from 130 is like a considerable amount. If I had stayed in Italy and if I were to pay income tax in Italy, I would have just saved 1/10 or whatever. Yes. So I was based in Dubai. Yes, in Dubai you don't pay, of course, taxes. No, it's not. It's you're gonna spend about 2,500 USD a month, which in taxes in Italy you would pay like 7,000. I'm not an advocate. I'm not advocating not paying taxes. I'm just saying that for bootstrapping, it's your only solution if you want to save money. Of course, if you have a remote job.
Okay, let's go to the next one. Let's move on time management, which is obviously important when you switch from, I'm an employee to, okay, I need to run my business. And one thing that is very important to know also is what's your stack? How do you think about tools and time?
Okay. So I have burnt out an amount of time that is unspeakable. I've worked, as I said, I've worked on this project for like 5 years. I've tried working full-time, I've tried working part-time, and I've tried not working at all recently, right? So working full-time, what I did is, of course, I did my shift, and then at 4 p.m., I worked on the startup from 4 p.m. to 8 p.m. It's something that is, even if you're autistic a bit like me, it's something that really jogs you down into an abyss. For me, the best way to start a bootstrap is if you can get a part-time job. And so you finish working at 2 p.m., for example, and then you work for 2-3 hours a day. But still, it's fucking bad. And the only way that you have to survive this is, for me, moving out. For me, if I worked like part-time and then on my project, and then I travel the world in the meantime, and so I see new things all around me, it's much easier to survive. Otherwise, to build a bootstrap, you either have part-time and moving around, or you just live in your parents' house, save money, and just work on your project as you can. But generally, as I've done in the past 2 years, I just part-time and work on my project for about 10 hours a week, probably.
Great. Next one is, what is the lowest point reached that may have made you quit alongside your journey?
One of the most important things that I realized is don't get attached to ideas. I remember one case where one of the main features of my product was taken from Cloudflare, which is one of the main competition, right? And for me, I went into a panic mode, and it was a real hit. And I was about to quit. And then I just went to my South African friend, and he repeated what his mother told him, which is never get attached to idea, because then you will be dragged down when something bad happens to them. So how I think right now is thinking about ecosystem instead of ideas, in the sense that my product that I just showed is not just an idea. It's more of something more general. So my product is about content control, which means, yes, I showed you about artists, musician, and each one of those is an idea. However, even if one of those ideas got stolen, I have 1,000 more ideas, because the way I think it's right to think is thinking about ecosystem. Your product is an ecosystem, and it's not limited to a feature. If it gets stolen, whatever. I have 10,000 more.
Great. We are a little bit tight on time, so I will go through the key to the last question, which I think is very important. What is the most important value as a founder for you?
Okay. I'm going to say something that I've always held true in my life, which is loyalty. Loyalty, in my case, it was not only to my product, but to my partner, like to my co-founder. If I didn't have that, if I didn't have the trust from him in my decision, if I didn't trust him with my life, I wouldn't have made it this far. Like 5 years are a long time. And the thought that you can trust someone with your decision, with the economy, it's something very, very comfortable and one of the most important things.
Great, thank you very much, Ale.
I was speaking Dutch. Sorry about that. How many people speak Dutch here? No, nobody. Okay, cool. So we're off to the last speaker, Ricardo. Is that true? I'm really crap at names. Sorry. Welcome. I'm gonna open your presentation for you.
Yes,
okay.
great.
And where's the? Oh, there. Yeah, this one. You can use too.
Thanks. Hi everybody, I'm Riccardo Dornese. I'm the founder of Tactile Robots. Why tactile? The reason is that my first idea was to give the sense of touch to mobile robots. So here there's a video, but what you will see is that it's possible to touch this box that actually is a robot and nudge it, and it behaves like it was very light. This is an idea that I've patented, but finally didn't found a lot of business. So that was not the core of what I'm doing now. Then I tried going more towards the need, and one need was the automation inside of the restaurants. The idea was good. In fact, afterwards, the market grew very much. But actually, the ones who take the market were the Chinese, where the biggest market was. So there was the need in China, and they were also good in producing low cost. Now we do hardware, so we produce the robots you can see in this video, and we are introducing AI for having voice conversation with the robot. We also propose education service, so we can teach about robotics and about these products, and consulting. Our robots work indoor, but we are also doing this product. We done also for a client this prototype that works outdoors. So it's a new field of activity. There are several ways to interact with the robot, with the touch screen, by speaking with it. It's possible to configure the fleet online and to also interact with the robots through APIs. This is one of the first clients that we have, the University of Genova, which bought 6 robots, a bit among Savona and the Genova campus. Okay, here there are a few videos of the robot if you're interested in, but yeah, that's what my company does, and maybe Marco, we can start with the questions. Yeah.
Thank you, Riccardo, for the presentation. Shall we sit?
Yeah.
Okay. So now we just to sketch a bit why we're doing this Q&A. So we started with Mike. He's been doing this for a long time. Kind of now in the kind of senior in the mindset. Many businesses, many verticals, many types of businesses. So he has a lot of experience. Then Alessandro is at the beginning of the journey on something which is pure software, no hardware involved, or not yet, I don't know. Traveling the world, figuring out what to do, but the key aspect is like fully self-funded, which is, again, the topic of this event is really about, can you do it? And most of the people, they will tell you no. But the reality is there is always this option if you have obviously it helps if you have the technical abilities, probably, Mike, you can confirm, but the reality is today, if you want to do also some technical stuff without necessarily, being a hardcore programmer, you can still be able to deliver. Now, the third example with Riccardo is really, it's even possible if you do deep tech. Now, deep tech is the worst, right? Because it's hardware most of the time. It requires R&D, it requires, capex, right? But the takeaway as well that I would like to, I will go through the question, is really about that it's possible to do as well if you are in the deep tech space. And definitely what we want to know is how people should think when they approach deep tech, right? So let me go through the questions. The first one is, what have you learned during your experience as a technical founder? Let's go straight away to the typical question people ask. I would like to be a deep tech entrepreneur without external money. How should I do it?
So the only thing I've learned, I can say I've learned during these 10 years, because it's 10 years far since I started working on this field with my company. Also doing consulting, so having a way to have a living, but is that there are no magic formulas. So that I can't give you a magic formula, and everybody has to find out his own way. And also that the suggestions that work, that come from different ecosystems, like the Silicon Valley, clearly, don't easily apply to different ecosystems. So sometimes we're used to be taught with models that don't fit very much with the ecosystems that we have in Puglia. So the previous stories were examples of a way that somebody personally found to reach his own goals.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, we discussed many times in the events that approaching investors in Silicon Valley is very different from approaching investors in Italy. Even worse if you approach investors in Puglia. So that's the reality. So in this case, we cannot think, investors gonna come because I have a great product or a great business, because we are not in Silicon Valley, unless you incorporate that. But that's for the next event. So this is very very important. So we have to face reality that the ecosystem is different. But one question is, for you, what is the hardest part of running an hardware software startup? Because people want to know, what is the killer aspect here that could ruin an hardware startup?
Yeah, so that's really difficult, because at least in our ecosystem, because there is not a lot of willing to risk from the investor point of view here. But so you have to prove that you have something that sells. You have to prove the product market fit. But so in order to do it, you need the product. But to do it, you need the money. So there is a chicken egg problem. So you need to do something that kind of demonstrates that it works and that it can help somebody. Somebody is willing to pay, and you have to do it with your own money. And that could be quite a lot of money when you're speaking about hardware, because hardware costs quite much to be designed and to be produced and to be modified. So the cost is much higher than software usually.
Now, the last question is coming back to the idea that, in each single, when you start, you have this kind of debate between, should I raise, should I do it myself? And I think even if you think you don't have a VC backable business, you always think about the two options in your mind. But so the question is really, to raise or not to raise, how do you see this? How do you see from an hardware perspective, a proper deep tech perspective, to be honest?
Yeah, so I think it depends really a lot on several factors. So for instance, in my case, it was difficult to raise because there was strong competition from China in the field of automated deliveries. Another factor was that it was difficult to have strong intellectual property, because there were actually already on the market the technologies that were enough to make the use case work. And but it really depends on that. And also, sometimes it's also a personal choice, I think, because raising funds means start a journey that sometimes lasts for many years and from which you can't get out. So, and it's very constraining. So sometimes starting slower in bootstrapping means also having more freedom and setting your own pace.
Okay, what we can do is that we start with you, and we ask, if they have questions.
Yeah.
And also, I guess we can check if on YouTube we have questions. We don't. Okay. But so we start with a couple of questions per speaker. So we start with you, and then we go back to Alessandro and Mike.
Okay.
Because we're a little bit tight on time, and obviously we're very lucky to have this hosting partner this time, Sidea, but at the same time it's getting late, so we have to find the balance, right? So we have just 2 questions. If you have a couple of questions for Riccardo, maybe 1 or 2.
Thanks. Riccardo, yes, I understand that your topic, your theme of work is multidisciplinary, because you're doing hardware, you're doing software, you're doing sensors, you're doing integration. Are you a solo startupper, or you've been trying to get help from colleagues or friends? And what is the added value of these people in the team?
So I'm principally a solo startup. With the other founders, we have 6. But they are not full-time. So at the moment, it's very, very lean. And I'm kind of working on goals with the other partners. So, or having external consultants. So in order to make the company profitable, even at an early stage in terms of market, my approach has been to reduce as much as possible the number of full-time people, and in order to adapt actually to the work balance, so that the profitability stays is enough also at the beginning.
Another one?
I was just curious what you do in terms of marketing/sales. What's your approach to that?
Yeah. So up to now, it was pretty nothing. So all the work came because of word of mouth. Yeah. Now I'm starting working on that through a communication company, which is starting working together, but. That's I'm trying building a network of distributors of these products with schools and university. But that's something that I'm starting setting up. But yeah, that's the big next step for the business, at least for what you have seen now. Which is in order to grow. Actually, in the meanwhile, there are also other consulting activities which could lead to new developments.
Thank you, Riccardo.
Thank you
Ale, next one. So, first, obviously, from the audience, YouTube, I don't know, but let's start from the audience, if you guys have a couple of questions.
Yeah, it is my understanding that you're working on this for 2 years, you said?
5 years.
5 years, okay. Okay, this is counting the old product?
Yes,
Okay.
the 5 years is only about the old product, so the main Antibot.
Okay,
Then
okay.
I trashed everything and I focused on the new idea.
Okay, how much are you working on the new one?
How long?
Yeah.
From September, 2nd September of 2024. So it's about 2 months. 25.
25,
Yes.
okay, 2 months, okay,
25.
good. Wes, same question for you. What are you doing in terms of marketing and sales? Because in a bootstrapping business, really, like the investors are your customers, if you think about that.
So for me, I've always had this question, which is it more important the product or the sales? That is the chicken egg the question that everyone has, right? Yeah, but like I think, okay, the answer to this question is product versus sale. I think the product is the most important thing, but if it starts from a problem, like if the product has 100% fit in the market, so if it solves a particular issue that people are having, like let's say I was having an issue that I didn't know how to solve it, and then some random guy shows up and say, I can give you the solution for the problem, and 100% fit, that I don't see any reason, maybe I'm just delusional, but the way I think is if your product fits the market 100%, it's gonna sell. And sales is not about convincing other people that they have the same problem as you do. Maybe maybe I'm just delusional, okay? But I've made the product starting from a specific problem. So the way I'm marketing is gonna be texting the people who I know are having this problem. Email, in this case.
Yeah, we have a question.
Thanks. By the way, the question comes from somebody who also gave up his full-time job in December, the end of December.
Yes.
So, you said you're not worried about having competitors come in and create a product that's like yours. Why would you need to give up that product? And do you have lots of products in the pipeline or something? And how long would that take to bring those to market?
Yes. So I do have 5 more products coming. Because as I mentioned, I am thinking more about ecosystem than a single product. Like today, I have showed my main product, which is a control, which control information. But I have other 5 that I have not showed you. So of course, if some random person in a startups environment comes and steal my product, fuck it. Like I'm gonna be better than you. That's what I think, right? That's what my brain thinks. However, if a big companies come and does the exact same thing that I do, I will probably give up because I don't have the resources to compete with them, or the product to another particular problem. I think he mentioned this in his previous presentation. So try to fit the product into another market. But yeah, it depends on who steals the product.
Hello? Yeah. Last question, which is related to what Mike was saying. How do you think you're going to play out your sales for the next 3 to 6 months? So how do you are thinking about, because obviously you are very, I would say, product focused, and now figuring out, say, okay, I believe, at the end of the day, a good product has low friction. If there is friction, there is not a product.
Yes.
So that means that if there is friction, it means that it's wrong ICP or wrong product. Now, assuming that it's a good product, you have to identify your first, I don't know what's the ACV, if you think about in terms of ACV, but let's say ACV of, I don't know, 20, 30K, just to give a number.
Yes.
So you have already in mind your first 30, 40, 50 customers that you're already talking to them, giving a preview and something like this?
Yes. So again, the product started from a problem, and in these problems, I had identified the possible targets that I was going to sell. So for my product, I think I'm going to focus more on the emotional state of the people. So it's a product about controlling information, and I believe people are very emotional about that. Especially, I'm targeting mostly newspapers and publisher in the area, and many. So I have 2 theory, and the first one is a very niche, like a very niche phrase, which is follow the money. Like I believe if I can offer a company that is selling the product to an economical advantage if they are going to make money from my product that is not just snake oil security. Again, I think the sale is much easier. So for me, the techniques is follow the money, and in this case, I'm going to go to some conferences that I've identified where these people are complaining about the product and make networking with them. And the second approach is about emailing these people. And yes, so these two approaches.
Okay. Second, you have a question? Yeah.
It's a technical one, not a business one.
Yes.
One of the features that you mentioned earlier is that your product can censor information from AI, so AI won't be able, to sell.
Yes.
I don't know, people realize what you just said, but you are building what people need. Now, if I would have a list of tech features or tech software that people wants to get built sooner, this is what they want, because piracy is everywhere, right now through AI. And this product would sell well through artists, filmmakers, so not just normal
The problem that you mentioned is I really thought like it would sell well on artists, of course, because they would be one of the first customers. But again, how much are you willing to pay? And I did a survey on this in Dubai. People were not willing to, of course, smaller artists. Like if I sell to communities, they wouldn't be paying more than $50 for images in the case from the survey that I've done, right? And it's for artists in particular, it's not a good strategy to sell to them. So I'm focusing more on the big players, those who are willing to pay like 500 USD, 1,000 and more a month. I'm glad you think this way. That's my bet,
it's
right?
It's the situation when Apple, removed the headphone jack, creating the problem, then the solution. AI created the problem, and now we need this kind of solution. But my concern is not this. My concern is how well is this feature working now, and will it be future-proof? Or maybe new LLMs will be able to bypass this.
No, of course it's not. It won't be future-proof, of course. What I'm focusing on is blocking the large scale. I'm not going to be able to block the intentional 15-year-old kid who are partly autistic, who focus on the problem and try to reverse engineer, like people like me, who if they focus on the problem, they're going to solve it. What I'm going to focus in more the large scale. So not try to solve the automated AI threat on the large scale. Okay, yeah, if I was clear, clear.
Thank you. I'm rooting for you.
Thank you.
Thank you. So I guess we have the last speaker now. So Ale, thanks a lot. So last two questions from the audience for Mike.
Yeah, let me just tell you this. I think you are approaching this backwards. Like you should do sales before, and in fact, you should do this thing called pre-sales. I know it's scary. You might, be avoiding it, but I think it's what you need to do. This is what I've done, with the first products that I've made. Now I'm experienced. I know, when a product is going to make money. So it's kind of solved for me. But when I was starting, I did surveys and don't take, yes, I would pay for it for a yes. They actually have to pay. Otherwise, it's not a commitment. So pre-sales is what I think you need. And especially with the other speaker also as an hardware company, I think it's even more important to pre-sell to customer, because your customers are your investors in a bootstrapping business. So you want to, in the case of the other speaker, maybe email yourself. You have proven that you can do it with one university. Why don't do it with all the others? Not only in Italy, abroad, whatever. But yeah, you need to do this. And I think same with you. I wouldn't spend 5 years working on something if it was not proven, unfortunately.
Anyway, questions?
This is actually the element that impressed me the most, that you can, from what I understand from your presentation, you can prototype and swarm ideas and swarm working software very quickly thanks to AI. So your pre-sale is basically your sounding board.
Well, before AI, I was quick before AI because before
I
AI,
have no doubt about that. Yes.
listen, before AI, my process was I take 2 days, the weekend usually, to build a product. I market in the same week, in the following week, sorry, and then if it makes money, it stays. Otherwise, it goes.
Yeah. So fail fast and of course probe the market and so on. Okay. Well, then of course now you pique my curiosity. Before the AI era. How did you manage to be quick? What's your secret sauce? Did you modularize everything? Did you have like libraries of stuff?
You don't have to be a good programmer. You don't have to think like a good programmer because you have to make choices. And literally, all my logos were from Canva. The initial of the software, whatever. I don't care because you have to choose what you are bringing with you, and you don't have to bring lots of stuff. Same with the tech. Actually, I'm not fond of what's a framework like, I don't know, Laravel or whatever, because they have lots of things. They are opinionated, and they have lots of things that they bring with them, and instead I want to choose my own thing. So yes, with time, I created my own kind of framework, you could tell. But yeah, you just have to choose and be ruthless. And sometimes you are programmers, so I'm scared to say this, but I go straight to production. I don't have staging. I don't care less. Because I need to move fast.
Another question?
Thanks. It sounds like you have the guts to do it, right? You have the courage to do it. Mm-hmm. How was that always the case, or how did you develop this let's say confidence and courage in your path?
Well, first of all, I was also a full-time teacher back in the day, but I lasted 1 day in the job, so I can't have bosses first of all. But yeah, so my first business, things were actually in New York. I went abroad to study. When I was 18, I won a scholarship to go to the New School for Jazz and Contemporary Music in New York to study. And I went there, and of course, schools in New York, they cost lots of money. So I basically opened a marketing agency for jazz musicians. I didn't know what I was thinking, because jazz musicians are broke, jazz musicians are broker. But it worked, because I discovered arbitrage. I was taking jobs from leading jazz magazines and whatnot, and other people in the Philippines were doing the job for me, and I was pocketing the difference. So I guess that was my jump start. And then with SAS, I basically took a course about affiliate marketing, and I saw an opportunity to build something around a specific problem, and I built it. And then some people in the course, power users, they were attracted to the idea, so they invested in it. My first SAS was actually with investors, although it was all not with papers. It was shake hands, and of course it ended up badly. And then after that, I said, okay, I can do this alone.
Just maybe a question, because I think you definitely have the experience across many different businesses now, and we know that if you go the indie racking route, is really about pro user, but not enterprise deals. It's very hard to go to the enterprise deal.
You could. I did some enterprise deals.
But it's an outlier in general. Like you would.
It depends on how you structure it. Let's say it this way.
Okay. How do you think, like, to give some numbers, how should people think about the first, 3 to 6 months, and, the pricing, like simple rules that you now see some patterns, right? Okay, I want to go, like, to give an example, it works for 50 quid per month pro users. I need to target, I don't know.
This depends so much on the product and other variables. I would say don't do anything for less than $50 per month, $48, whatever it is. If you want to do 47 because it's triggered with the ending 7, whatever. But definitely below that it doesn't make sense, because you need volume. Like again, I wouldn't go B2C. I would go B2B. So always go B2B, which means you are selling to a business, and they have the money. And you know, for a business to buy something, it's more convenient, you know, compared to a consumer, you know, because they can whatever declaring the taxes, whatever. So you sell to businesses much more easily. In terms of you know, how you structure things, it depends. If it's a software that is on a very particular niche and it's solving a problem, a very specific problem, then you can charge a lot. You know, I have software that I charge more than $1,000 per month, so it depends.
Okay, all right. Thank you very much, Mike. Guys, thank you very much. I'm just gonna wrap it up. So thanks for the speakers. It's been very interesting, very different angles, different software, you know, hardware. So it's been pretty much all over the places. Thanks, Sidea, for hosting us today. And we're gonna have the next one at the end of February. It's gonna be another on like the VC way. So we're gonna have VC or like venture studio. So we're trying to explore and to explain a bit what are the options on the table. And yes, you know, we share the QR code, but we have, you know, on our website, you know, you can become a fan of the association. And if you want to be a speaker, if you want to be, you know, you have ideas of donors, we are accepting new donors now, new builders that want to contribute to make the association stronger. We're definitely here to talk, or anyway, we have the Telegram group that we share everything there. All right, thank you very much. Thank you, guys.